The weather station, how is it that I should look at the stars? Album review, let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning. Here tonight to chat about this latest from the Weather Station, Toronto-based chamber folk project of Tamara Lindemann and company, who, in their early, sort of more experimental days, I really wasn't that into a lot of what the Weather Station was doing. It was around the time of All of It Was Mine that I began to really look at them more as just, I don't know, a really solid folk band. They were clearly inspired by old school singer-songwriter music, like from the 70s. There was a warmth to their music. It was stripped down, it was classic, it just seemed right to me. But around the time of their Loyalty album, I kind of fell off again. It wasn't as heartfelt, it wasn't as creative, it just wasn't really hitting me that much. I was kind of worried that the Weather Station were just going to become another faceless folk band. But honestly, I did get back on track with them around the time of their self-titled album. It was beautiful, really heartfelt. It was so emotional. It was well produced. It was just really likable. And it didn't, end up on any of my year lists or anything, but their next album sure did. Last year's Ignorance. This was one of the best albums of the year. Here it is right here. This is a good one. It is just this beautiful blend of chamber folk and folk rock. Once again with that old school classic approach to singer-songwriter, but with some punchier lyrics, some beautiful arrangements, and the more fleshed out instrumentals just really made me remember a lot of the music that the Weather Station was putting out. It just seemed like such a timely, poignant album as well. Now, about a month ago, they announced that they were releasing a companion album to last year's Ignorance, and I, all of a sudden, was very excited to hear this album, but I slowly got less and less excited when I started hearing the singles. Let's chat about this thing. Now, I will say this album starts with Marsh, and I think it's one of the best tracks here. It is gorgeous. It is warm. It is wonderfully performed. Tamara's vocals on this track are staggering. Love the subtle woodwinds. I love how graceful everything comes off. This to me sounds like it would have really done nicely on their last year's album, Ignorance. It has the same poignant lyrics as well. This is just a really great start. And there certainly are great moments here. The track, Ignorance, also is really great. I love just how stripped down it is. The very stark instrumental makes Tamara's vocals just pop so much harder. I love the punchy lyrics as well. Once again, this sounds like a track recorded at the same sessions. It is just a really great example of this very hushed, very quiet chamber folk and chamber pop. But let me tell you, this album certainly is gorgeous, but man, do things get really one note really fast. I am not vibing on Endless Time that much, that's just me. This track is fine, it sounds nice from a distance, it's very graceful, it's very beautiful, but I can tell you numerous tracks on Ignorance that are a whole lot more memorable than this. It's just kind of average, and you know what? I don't completely hate this track, but then I hear the rest of the album and I like it less and less. We have Taught, and let me tell you, this is beautiful, no doubt about it, but personally, I need a little shift. What I loved so much about Ignorance was how alive it felt. The instrumentations from track to track just seemed to be completely different from time to time. It just sounded like an album that had so much going for it. This is just another chamber pop ballad, and that is fine. I love chamber pop ballads. That's great, but time after time, a quiet, hushed sound. It's a little one-dimensional. I have the same issues with To Talk About. I am dying to hear anything different at this point. And we just don't get that. And it's not like Tamara's writing crappy tracks or really letting her guard down. She's still writing tunes that pack a punch. But honestly, with how one note these tracks are, time and time again, they just start blowing right past me and not impacting me and not stopping me. I have a lot of the same feeling on Stars. Once again, lyrically, this is beautiful. Instrumentally, there are passages where I'll think it's breathtaking, but as a whole, it is more of the same. It's bland. So much of this, back to back, just makes this a very uneventful album. Thankfully, I enjoyed Ignorance a lot and can still pick up on some things that I've liked here and there, but I can only imagine if you weren't into what the Weather Station was doing a year ago, you're not going to be vibing on this. I mean, there are a few late album tracks that do save this album a little bit for me. I really love Song. This track is a little heavier. It's got some drama to it. There's some real power in Tamara's vocals here. It has a lot of the same elements as the rest of this album, but Tamara, to me, sounds so much more invested here. I don't know why this is so different, and the woodwinds and the backing instrumentals on this track are just enough different to really make me look at this track a little bit different. Sway has a lyrical beauty and personal feeling to it that I haven't heard on any other track here. It's actually really powerful and beautiful. It is truly one of the sweetest sentiments here. It's a track that I want to come back to, and it's a really nice late album surprise. But then we're right back to more of the same with Sleight of Hand. I don't know, we're back to just another track with very breathy vocals that I can really take or leave, and a piano melody that sounds like 8 other tracks on here. It's just not cutting it for me. And to make things more frustrating, I think this album's finale, Loving You, is the best track here. This is one of the most human, deeply personal, and emotionally invested tracks here. It's sweet, it's tender, it's so freaking simple. Like, I could have used some more of this. It fills me with love and hope and actually interests me in the weather station's future. Yeah, this album is not what I expected it to be. I mean, yes, it's certainly a companion album to last year's Ignorance, but I could tell you 4 tracks or 5 tracks that didn't need to be here. This kind of sounds like it should have been an EP or just stuck on the end of a deluxe edition, and I hate saying that because that is such a cop-out. I don't know, this new album, it's certainly beautiful in parts, it's certainly emotionally invested in other parts, but as a whole, I'm finding it hard to really love this thing. It certainly has its moments, though. God, I'm sorry, I wish I enjoyed this album a little bit more, but I don't. I'm feeling a decent 5 on this new one from the Weather Station. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.